Hi folks, this video is of limited interest to people generally on the channel. It's specifically for people who own or are thinking of owning one of my spectrometers. For the rest of you, apologies for not making videos for a little while. I've been incredibly busy with business and also with some really interesting projects which I've got in the works. I've got 4 or 5 half-made videos, but nothing's quite popped out of the cloaca yet, so sorry about that, but more is coming soon. On with the show. Hello i-Phos owners, this is a quick video to get you up and running quickly and tell you how to calibrate your i-Phos spectrometer. So plug it into USB and point it at a calibration light source, which in this case is a CFL, a compact fluorescent light bulb, which I use just to illuminate my ordinary office. When you first fire up the software, you'll probably find that these two tick boxes for automatic exposure are set. My recommendation is to uncheck those and set the manual exposure to -5. And you'll use this little window box here to set the area of the webcam's image which the software is going to consider for analysis of wavelengths and intensities and so on. So we make this box fairly small. We set the starting value, which might be 40, and we set the size of the box, so that's large. It doesn't have any apparent change on the spectrum, but what it's doing is chopping out sections of the image which are not relevant for the construction of a spectrum. So we'll pop that back to 54 and 10. That's 54 and 10. So we're now fully enclosing the interesting part of the webcam image. You can, if you want to, chop this down to be 1 pixel high. This lowers sensitivity but increases precision, so that may be something you might want to do for some special cases where you need maximum precision and you're not too interested in intensity. Okay, so back to the defaults there. The next thing to do is to turn on peaks. So let me just show you what that does. It just puts numbers here that tells you where these peaks are and what the wavelength values are, and this is where you need to calibrate your instrument from a standard CFL graph. Here's one. It's the one you commonly see in the manual, and it's showing these characteristic lines, and the lines of interest to us are this Mercury line at 546 nanometers and this Mercury line at 436 nanometers. So that's this line here and this line here. This is not currently calibrated, so now we'll calibrate it by clipping the trim scale, and then I can move this area here. What I'm going to do is put the 436 on this line here, which I've learned is the lower Mercury line. We want to make sure that this number here corresponds to this number here, and that says we're all set. Sometimes it jitters around 1 or 2, don't worry too much. So this is on 436 as near as damn it. This is on 436 as near as damn it. So you could say, well, we're calibrated, job done. Then you put in another light source, measure it, and you're good to go. But you can do slightly better. So here's a little wrinkle for you. The dynamic range of the webcam is not what it would be on a really expensive spectrometer. It's one of the compromises we make with our i-Phos. And it's easy to overcome that limitation by using the manual exposure key. So if we look at this lower Mercury line at 436, we can see there's some complexity there, and if we manage the resolution, the exposure, we can see more about that, exactly what's happening at that peak there. Zoom in, and that might be helpful to make sure that the software is lining up exactly where you want it to on the peak there, and when you zoom out, that alignment will stay put. So the other peak is also vulnerable here as well. As you can see, with the exposure we've got now, which is -4, this line is reaching saturation level for the sensor. So what we can do is turn down the brightness, and we'll see some more complexity arising here. Specifically, we'll see that what we thought was a single green line is actually 2 lines, and this lower line is terbium. There you go, terbium. So it would be easy to align on that, and it would give you these two peaks are about, well, in this case it's showing 7 separate, and a similar but slightly smaller displacement there. So it's important that you line on the mercury and not the terbium. You'll get an error of about 4 nanometers if you don't do that. That doesn't really matter much in the broader scheme of things, but if you're interested in maximum accuracy, then that's the process. So we zoomed up the exposure to get to the very peak of this lower mercury line. We zoomed down the exposure to see the detail on the higher mercury line. Now we can we've finished calibration, so we can turn that calibration off and continue to use the instrument as we see fit. In this case, I think probably exposure -6 is about right to give us the overall exposure. This, by the way, is infrared, and this is ultraviolet. So we've got an effective range of about 380 to, well, actually the UV side, the infrared side goes up to about 1,000 on this spectrometer. Anyway, that's calibrated and ready for use. I calibrate after every session and recommend that you do too. And also wait about 5 minutes until the lights reached an equilibrium temperature. Everything's warmed up. Then do your calibration, because the spectrum does shift. Peaks appear and disappear, and they slide around while the lamp is warming up. So give it 5 minutes or so. Anyway, hope that's helpful. If you've got any questions or comments, I'm very happy to answer them. Please put them in the comments of this video. It means that my answers and your comments are available to others to read who are interested. Anyway, okay, I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching.